At this point, we've all seen at least one Iceberg video, correct? And while I've seen many of MMA, I haven't really seen any of boxing. Except for these two, but one's in Spanish and one's about a game. So I decided to make one, and here it is. Starting off on the surface with the more well-known and lighter topics, and going down to the depths of the deepest and darkest places of boxing. Some Wii boxing is going to be in the background. And we're going to be starting with the lighter topics, so skip to this timestamp if you want to see the darker stuff. But if not, let's begin. Starting off with championship fights. Basically, two fighters fight to be known as a champion, which is a high honor. PPV. PPV, or pay-per-view, is when you have to pay to watch a fight. YouTube boxing. Boxing, but YouTubers do it. Just selling the fight. Just selling the fight is a term used to describe fake trash talk. It's used to draw in more viewers and create more headlines. Ducking. Ducking is a term used to describe when a fighter is running away or ducking from another fighter. This may be a result of them being scared, whether that's losing or getting hurt. PEDs. Not just in boxing, PEDs or performance-enhancing drugs are very commonly used in boxing to enhance power, stamina, and make recovery easier, leading to an unfair advantage. Padded records. Padded records are when fighters fight really bad fighters to make their record look better than it really is. An example of this is Anthony Slims Jr., who went 14-0 before fighting someone with a positive record, and even then he was 10 wins and 9 losses. Famous Ali pic is fake. This refers to arguably the most famous boxing picture of all time. A popular TikTok actually went around saying that the opponent he faced dived. The TikTok states that Ali is actually telling him to get up as he hit him with a soft shot. Apparently, the girlfriend of the fighter eventually came out and said that he did it because he had to take a dump. Olympics not taken seriously. The title is self-explanatory, but basically not as many elite fighters go to the Olympics, and it's usually a 3-horse race. MMA versus boxing crossover. This talks about how basically sometimes MMA fighters fight boxers. An example of this is when UFC champion Anderson Silva fought 52-5 Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and won via split decision. The most notable example of this is Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather. Muhammad Ali banned. Ali was banned from boxing for 3 years and stripped of his world title on June 20th, 1967. He was also sentenced to 5 years in prison. This was for refusing to serve in the military after being drafted because his religion forbade him from fighting in a war. The Mayweather Zero Theory. The Mayweather Zero Theory states that Floyd Mayweather has put a stigma around remaining undefeated. This obviously leads to fighters not fighting each other and overall just being more boring. Pritchard Colon. While a sad story, I think a lot of you have seen the numerous viral videos made on it, so I'm gonna briefly graze through it. Pritchard Colon was an up-and-coming boxer who was 16-0. In his 17th fight, a fight versus Terrell Williams, Terrell repeatedly hit him with a bunch of illegal back-of-the-head shots. On top of that, Pritchard's corner was constantly blamed for failing to stop the fight. After this tragic event, Pritchard was left crippled, possibly for life. Padded gloves. Padded gloves is an illegal technique used to hit harder. It's when cheaters fill their gloves with anything rather than regular padding. This can be either plaster or concrete in extreme cases. Rolly Romero versus Ismael Barroso. This was a fight that took place on May 13th, 2023, where an up-and-coming 27-year-old Romero faced off against a 40-year-old Barroso. Barroso largely dominated the fight, even knocking Romero down early. However, a super early and controversial stoppage that took place, which left boxing fans speculating that to protect Romero's aura and to make sure he didn't lose to a 40-year-old, since Romero was getting dominated, he stopped the fight when Romero was dominating. Mayweather pays judges. This refers to how Mayweather fighters, including Mayweather himself, always get controversial decisions. The most notable example being Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, where it's widely believed that Manny won. Mike Tyson bites off ear. This one should be slightly higher because a lot of you probably know about it, but in a 1997 clash between Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, while in a clinch, Mike Tyson said he was frustrated and bit off a chunk of Evander Holyfield's ear. Twice. Southpaw 773 TV. A semi-known TikToker slash YouTuber, Southpaw 773 TV was a Ryan Garcia hater, Floyd Mayweather hater. Being banned in around 2021 or 2022, he still posts YouTube videos to this day. But what I'm talking about is in late 2021, he was accused of beating his wife. And in 2022, he was also accused of being a sex offender, which I can't really prove with anything besides these screenshots. But it's not really that convincing, so I don't know if that part's true. Coach Calvin Ford, Tank Davis drugging. Ahead of the highly anticipated Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis fight, Tank Davis's coach, Coach Calvin Ford, put out a screenshot message on Instagram. The message states that Ryan Garcia's coach, Bernard, tried making Gervonta Davis fail his drug test by putting testosterone cream on him just before the fight. This would have obviously resulted in the fight being called off. Luis Resto. Luis was a boxer who in 1986 illegally padded his gloves with plaster ahead of a fight against Billy Collins Jr. This gave him a huge and unfair advantage, which eventually led to him injuring Collins' eye permanently, which later resulted in the death of Collins as he eventually died in a car crash due to his lack of sight. Resto was then sentenced to 2 years in prison, and a movie was made on the whole thing in 2000, receiving a 7.5 on IMDb. Antonio Margarito. Antonio Margarito, or boxing's biggest cheater, is a former WBA champion. Numerous videos were made on him, and he was banned for 1 year from boxing, and all of this was for putting plaster in his gloves. He ended up getting suspended, but that's not the worst that came. Karma got him back good. See, this all started in a 2008 clash with Miguel Cotto. Margarito filled his gloves with concrete, and obviously, with such a big unfair advantage, he ended up winning. The real karma came in 2011 when they ran it back and Cotto won impressively. Ray Mancini. Ray Mancini versus Kim Duk-Koo was a fight that changed boxing for the better, but at the expense of 3 lives. This all took place in a 1984 WBA lightweight bout. Kim, brewing with confidence before the fight, he said a now iconic line, which was, "Either he dies or I die." In the 14th round though, the fight took a drastic turn, with Mancini knocking Kim down. This sent him into a coma, where he eventually succumbed to his injuries and passed just 4 days later. This was his second fight outside of Asia, and his mother unfortunately flew down and witnessed this. Sadly, the mother witnessed all of this, and after seeing her son pass away, she unfortunately took her own life. Just a while later, the ref also did. This fight resulted in numerous iconic rule changes. These rules being the standing 8 count, and your license being suspended 45 days after a knockout loss. The maximum amount of rounds also changed from 15 to 12. And while a great change was made, it's sad that it had to come in this fashion. Ray Mancini versus Kim Duk-Koo was known as a fight that changed boxing forever, with 3 deaths attached to it. Edwin Valero. Edwin Valero was a legendary featherweight who in just 8 years managed to become a 2 weight class champion. Being undefeated his whole career, he maintained a record of 27 wins, with 27 wins by way of knockout. This was until 2010, where he stopped fighting, and the reason for this was his death. But it wasn't just any death. This all dates back to April 18th, 2010. Where Valero was arrested for the murder of his wife, Jennifer Carolina Vieira de Valero. She was found dead in his hotel room. Just the next day, Edwin was found dead in his cell. This whole story really gets interesting though when you find out where it started. On September 27th, 2009, Valero was arrested on suspicion of battery. He was suspected of beating a mother and her sister over a feud. Suspiciously though, his mother then came out and said that nothing foul has happened. Another feud happened in early 2010 where Valero was accused of beating his girlfriend as she showed up to the hospital with bruises and a damaged lung. While she said it was from a stairway, he repeatedly denied it, and eventually she came out and said it was from a stairway. See, this was actually the 3rd time this happened, and this led to Valero being sentenced to 6 months psychiatric rehabilitation. Upon being released, this is when the murder took place. Just after his wife was found unalived with 3 stab wounds, he was arrested, where he eventually hanged himself with his pants. The final entry on the list, Mike Tyson, 1992. A popular, yet mysterious one. If you've been on TikTok recently, then you've probably seen something along the lines of Mike Tyson first fight out of prison, and it's him versus Peter McNeely. And while this gets a lot of likes, nobody really seems to know the reason he went to prison in the first place. In 1991, Mike Tyson was arrested after being accused of forcing himself upon someone. His accuser, 18-year-old Desiree Washington. After a series of eerie interviews where he states he wished he did the crime, he was sentenced to 6 years of prison. However, he only ended up serving 3 as he then went on to fight Peter McNeely, who by the way was actually a super underrated boxer. But here's some of the footage from the interviews.
I used to hate her guts, and she put me in that state where, I don't know, I really wish I did now, but now I really do want to be her mama. I know you don't like to hear that, but
no, I don't
I'm
like
in
to
that
hear
state.
that. I admit I don't like to hear that.
And while that's it for the Iceberg, I do have a few things that I want to add as a bonus. 1 is Andy Bowen, who is the first boxing-related death. 2 is the triangle theory, where basically it states that if boxer A beats boxer B, but boxer C beats boxer A, and boxer B beats boxer C, then boxer B can beat A, even though A beat him. It's complicated, but a lot of people really believe it. And that's everything I have. So thank you for watching, and let me know if I should do more Iceberg videos or boxing videos, and please like, subscribe, comment, and goodbye.